What's going on, Huntrace family? Coming to you guys with the Sunday analysis. Obviously, first we're going to go over the indexes because we want to see what they're looking like for this week and see what we can expect. First, I got the S&P 500 up. Now, when I'm on TradingView, I like to just use the US 500. The reason being is because when we look at SPX and Nasdaq with all the gaps, I don't want to do my chart analysis with all that stuff in a way. I want to be able to see exactly where I am in the market. So I'm going to use the futures for that. And this is basically the CFDs, but it follows exactly the same. We just pretty much opened just about 40 minutes ago in the market. So you can see we're getting that first 4-hour candle right here, and it's starting to look a little bit bearish. I think this right here is actually a correction that's going to happen, or a little bit of sideways action from this big uptrend that we had last week. So that would make sense. Now, what I'm expecting out of this one, especially after that ABC correction that we had here, is since we broke out over that trend line, I'm expecting to see us drop and come back down. And I'm explaining why. When we look at most of the stocks across the board that have been getting bought up a ton and are ready to uptrend a little more, a lot of them, especially the ones on my watch list, they are ones that they're right at where I need them, or I would like for them to pull back to get in for, a nice big leg up. One thing to note that we're going to go over as well is that if we look at the top stocks in the indexes, which you're talking about the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, Netflix, a lot of their charts are very similar, and they're at positions where there's a lot of support being built up. And I can't remember a time where all the indexes start taking them off together again to newer all-time highs and projected targets. And those were really, really lagging behind. Now they're at a point right now where they're at the bottom of a lot of big consolidation areas. So we're going to check those out after the fact as well, and then get to the watch list. So, we have had our trend lines here for a long time. Obviously, we don't trade strictly based off trend lines. We look at, impulses and corrections and try to see where we are in the market based off of many different things, order blocks, theories, and things like that. So what we have here that I'm focused on is this correction here. And what I'm expecting to see here this week at the beginning when we start is a nice correction, either sideways or even to the downside some. If we touch this trend line or go through this trend line, I'm going to be looking for support around this area here, the 3860s, and to come back out or on this trend line. So I'm going to be patient this week and wait for those moves to see if we can get something. I'll probably do a fib retracement to see what levels these are, which is looking like these might be around the 382 or so, and we might get a 50% right around here. So we'll see. But that's the S&P 500. So we're looking for maybe a sideways movement overnight into the morning, or a correction, which will give us on that weekly candle a nice down wick if we are to move to the upside. So that's just what I'm watching for now. Let's go to the Nasdaq, which I will put in US 100. And you can see that we have similar corrections. Now you're going to notice that the Nasdaq is lagging behind. So one thing I like to pay attention to is that when the other indexes are back at all-time highs and another one is lagging and the Dow is leading, the Dow is just taking off. We'll notice that the Nasdaq is eventually going to come catch back up. So if we look at a lot of the tech stocks that have been down, that are top holders in the Nasdaq, which we'll go over, Microsoft, Apple, we'll look at Facebook, Amazon, and obviously not all tech, they fit different categories as well. But some of those top holders are at positions where they are pretty much looking just like the Nasdaq as far as being at some support levels and needing to see more upside. So for this week, I love to play the laggers because if you see the other ones pushing up, you have a little bit higher probability to get this one close to some lows because it is behind. So I'm looking for a target of 32.12. What I like to do is play the Qs or TQQQ to get a little bit more leverage and get a little bit bigger profit with a small risk to reward based off of some measured moves that I do before Monday open. So I'm expecting to see our NASDAQ get up at least back up to the top of this corrective structure here. Next, we're going to go to the Russell. Now the Russell, you can see that It had a nice correction. I know I'm missing like an X and a Z and all that for the Elliott wave theorists out there, but I know exactly, what I'm looking at here. We broke a major resistance. The small caps have been leading. I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're actually going to be leading for a while now, especially as people are jumping into the market and paying more attention to that sector and, doing some really, really big investments. We have the stimulus package coming out as well. Some people are starting to receive theirs supposedly. So you're going to see a lot more money going to these markets as we have more and more retail investors forming our own little asset management unspoken deal together without even noticing. So we're seeing more upside and upside, but you can see on this 4-hour candle when we open, we're already starting to see a little bit of resistance. So I wouldn't, be surprised if we see some sideways movement as well. Obviously, this could continue, but eventually I would like to see us come back sometime and retest this breakout area here. So the higher we go and we're getting away from this breakout area, I'm still going to be waiting and expecting for, a pullback to retest this area because I feel like that's just something important when we look at larger time frames. Next, we're going to look at the Dow, which is US 30. And on the Dow, if I zoom out, I was on a daily, but it's okay because TradingView does a good job at letting you zoom out on smaller time frames. So what you can notice here is that we have the previous highs before the market crash. You can see we broke those levels and those highs became support, and we just continue to push off of here. Now, what you guys need to realize is some of the sectors in the Dow are leading. I expect to see a little bit of consolidation from those right now. And as you can see, we've just been on a straight tear to the upside. So I'm more than likely, I'm expecting maybe a little bit of sideways action. If you look at some of those stocks that are in the, travel, industrials, raw materials, they have been moving and they have been, and airlines, they've been moving a lot. And so I think they need to probably look at taking a breather soon. And so all these impulse waves and the corrections impulse waves, I think we're going to get a little bit of sideways action to maybe a little bit more downside before we continue back up, which means we may rotate back to small caps leading, or maybe you'll see Apple and some of the other tech stocks come back. So I just have to see where the money is being put this week to make a decision on plays. But Dow Jones right now is the man with the plan. Okay. So look at those industries, even healthcare. Those are the industries that have been moving a lot. So when you look at those stocks, you want to see, what part of the market they've been in based off their structure, mark your support and resistance levels, and then watch them play them from there. So I think that was all of the indices. And now I want to get to the watch list. Let's see what I got first. Palantir, I got some levels here. What I'm expecting, I have this red line here because that's where I'm expecting to see some type of resistance. Also, you can see on the 4-hour time frame, we got the 50 moving average as well. So what I'm expecting to see is maybe, we end up, if the indexes are down in the morning, maybe we get a little bit of a pullback and a gap down. But if we can get back to around 25 to 24 area and then find support and hold, those will be my next targets for the breakout, this area here. But honestly, I wouldn't even call the 27 one of my first levels. I'd be looking at $29 to $30 first for a nice little swing trade. My risk will be right in this area or below. Obviously, adding more shares is like great for the stock right now because obviously we see in the future a lot of investors who believe in this company see way higher levels for this stock. So I will probably be adding even more shares on another pullback if we can get a little bit of a pullback on this one here. And then to the upside, I like to play options as well. So I may sell some premium underneath these levels. You can see this huge wick right here. And I wouldn't mind actually buying, more shares here. So I may end up selling some puts down in this area and then playing more to the upside as well. So that's Palantir, PLTR. Next, we got Carnival Cruise. I'm actually holding a swing on this one from this week. You can see that. Let me move this because that's just, that part by itself is invalid because this was the whole correction before we pushed up on here. I believe on this move here, I think we still got a little bit more upside. My ultimate target was like 30 to 32 on this one. So I believe that we probably will be able to push. And then I think we see sideways action or correction. And as you saw on the Dow Jones, it is up and leading as well as this stock is too. You'll see Norwegian Cruise, all the airlines, their charts are going to look very similar to this one as well. So RCL as well. So I'm looking for a move up. I want to start taking some profits when we get around, if we can get around 30 or so, or maybe 32. And then I'm going to look for some type of correction and then try to get back in for a continuation to the upside. But right now I'm holding a swing on this one. So I'm looking at that one for the watch list this week. Here we go, Royal Caribbean, same thing. You can see it already started to move sideways and it's in that corrective structure. Now, what I want to show you guys on this one is very important is we got a gap to fill here. This is from the market crash. And you know, some of these stocks are in the Dow or that are the travel stocks are really late as far as getting back up to their all-time highs. We got a gap to fill. Here's the beginning of the gap, literally right at 100. We just were barely shy of that the other day at $97. And then 105 is the other area. So if you look at the type of corrective pattern that this is, I can see us coming for, let me see, ABC, boom. I can see us coming for a nice breakout out of here. And if this, actually, I'm gonna draw it like this, it's gonna make more sense. Let's see. There we go. I don't like their channel over here that much, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. So if we can break out of this area, I may be expecting to play up to 100. So as I'm holding CCL, if that is up as well, and I see a breakout over here, I'm gonna go ahead and jump out on this one on a breakout up to 100. I would really like to see that play out this week. If not, I can see us pulling back one more time, maybe to the middle of this channel and then getting a breakout. So overall, what I want to play on this one is a breakout, especially if I'm already up on CCL. Okay, so that's Royal Caribbean, RCL. And then Skills is one. This stock had been getting beat down, but I believe that they're probably going to do really good. There are a lot of people investing in this company. They believe in this company and the type of gaming that they do. We do have a nice corrective pattern coming down, especially after the market correction that we just had. So on this push up here, guys, what I'm expecting to see is another pullback before we continue to the upside. So I would like to see, let me see. Oh, I don't have my other tool. It's all right. So I would like to basically see us pull back a little bit around 26 or so. And then from there, once I get a confirmation of an uptrend, my first target would be the highs where we retrace from. And then I would, take partial profit there or so. And then as this continues, I would go ahead and, take the rest of the profit as we push into strength and just start getting rid of some profits on the way up. This one is good and at a price as well too, where, selling puts here is definitely an option for me. That way I don't have to worry about waiting for the up move. I can just collect premium or collect that theta over time as it's playing around or going sideways or whatever. So there's different ways you can play those options. If you don't know how to do those, please do not do that, because I'm not suggesting that. I'm not your financial advisor, and I'm definitely not someone who is qualified to tell you to do that. So we got Skills, SKLZ. Next, we go to IDEX, IDEX. And I like this one because of the corrective pattern as well. But you can see that we came from the $5 area all the way down to the 235 area or so. So same thing on this one. You can see that we got the 50 SMA curling over. Obviously, I'm wanting to see that play a little bit of a resistance if we get to it and touch it, or us to break through it and then use it as a support. So I'm expecting right now the same pullback, especially because of this gap. If I take my fib as well and measure this out the correct way, like I believe I'm supposed to on this one, you can see that if we do come back down to the bottom of this gap, we're going to get to those institutional levels of reversal that I have on my Fibonacci. And then we got the 50% at 618 right here, right within that gap. So that would make sense to me on IDEX. But if we do pull back, I'd love to add even more shares to a position. We would get what looks like almost a inverted head and shoulders, even though I don't really play those pattern or call it that. Really, I see it, but I don't really call it that. I want to see a breakout of these levels. So a pullback and a breakout would put us above this pattern here. You can see that this line goes, and oops, let me fix that. It kind of matches up as well. So that's what makes sense to me. Like I said, another pullback to this area. And then if we break here, I would actually probably want to add on that breakout as well. But that's what I'm looking at for IDEX. Lockheed Martin, LMT. I've this been on the watch list for 2 weeks now, and we're in this consolidation. You can see that we had a push to the upside, and then we had a nice little pullback, and now we broke to the upside, and we're consolidating in this area here. Okay, so on a safer entry, for me personally, I would like to see an entry on the lower level. But if you're a breakout trader, you could look for the break here out of this triangle. Maybe not there, but here. All right, so it is starting to coil and get tight. And so, a breakout at this level could be very big. I remember sometime last year when we were on, let's see where we were. I believe it was this downtrend here. And there was a call that I called out, and we had pretty much a $40 move in an uptrend. I mean, it was a boom, a quick one. And then from there, we just consolidated sideways. And so I would definitely love to see that again, a nice move. So even though this thing, a lot in here, there's not a lot of huge movement, but when it does trend, there is a trend. When it does trend or consolidate, it's big, big trend, big consolidation. So if we can break out of this area, I think LMT is going to be a great play for this week. QuantumScape. I know a lot of people are looking at this. They're talking about how they're not profitable yet and all of this stuff. I don't really care. I look at the technicals. We got a weekly support here that I drew out, and now it's from the weekly chart. I'll actually show you that at 11 week. So here we go. And the reason why I drew that here is because the last impulse we had after a big red candle was this breakout here. And we broke above that red candle. So this was an area that I thought was very important. And you can see that price is staying in this area. So buyers are able to hold this. All right. That's pretty much it. Now, like you'll see on some of my other charts, I have these red lines and these green lines. These were the targets. I did have a target up to 73.25. We just barely made it there, and we started to correct to the downside with the market correction. A lot of buyers came in at 40 and basically above 59 or basically 60. I'm expecting this to be able to trend back up around to the 70s or so. So this one is obviously on my watch list early in the week. Honestly, the markets can do whatever they want. This one will still move. It does not have to follow the markets from what I've seen. So it's doing its own thing. And I like to, honestly, I need to get on a smaller time frame just so I can see better market structure on QuantumScape. So there we go here. Now, since we're on the hourly, you can see the impulses and then the corrections here, impulse sideways correction here, breakout. Okay, it pulled our gap down the following day and it was bullish. This is how it finished on Friday. That's a very strong push, which means there's a lot of buyers getting into this one. And like I said, we're almost back to the top of where this impulse move started to the downside. And so the next couple levels up are going to be here. There's a gap here that did get touched and filled, but that could still be a major support and resistance. But overall, we want to get above these levels. Now, when you guys are looking at stocks like this, what you want to look at is this. Let me go ahead and just escape out of here and get this tool. This is what I like to show a lot of my guys. When you get up to levels like this, what you got to see is where's the money, where are basically the orders, the stop orders, trap sellers, okay, trap buyers, okay, what orders up top, okay, people bought here, got flushed out, they bought here, somebody bought high, hope it was your cousin who found out about QuantumScape but never looked at a chart, they got stopped out, and then here somebody bought high, boom, got slammed out. So you're going to notice that it's not just losing traders here. You got funds that are selling down and they're buying back, making profits on their sales, and these are their buy positions. So they push the stock up to trap people who don't know what they're doing, and then they sell on them, and then they push it up again, and they're like, oh, a higher high is coming. No, it's not. And then they slam it down, And then when everybody's like, okay, it's going to go back up because it's a corrective pattern here, it's going to break out and go up. Well, it did break that pattern, and then it just slammed down under all these orders here, and bam, now they got you by here, they got you by the balls, and this comes all the way down, and you are hitting your sell stops while they're selling. Now they're buying back because they got to buy back when they sell, and they're taking those profits. And when they get back up here, they're probably almost at break even on their buy positions that were down as they were playing you to the downside. So they're going to be up. And then guess what? When they get above these levels, their buy positions are going to go up, and they're going to make even more money to the upside. And they're going to do it again up here over and over and over. That is the cycle. So if you can see that that's happening, you're no longer thinking like a retail trader. So what I want to see from here is these levels hold on QuantumScape around the 50s or so, and I want to break these levels here. But I would like a nice swing on this, playing this to the upside. Price is not too bad at all. You could even get a couple shares, because my expectation on this one is a lot more upside, especially if we get above the 70s. So even just 4 shares of this at, around $200 or, $300 or so, it's still going to yield you, $100 or so, or close to it, if we get above these 70s or so. And so that is something that obviously, it's a lot, but I wanted to make sure that I put that out there for you guys that are watching to try to help you out. But those are orders that are going to get ran through as well to the upside. Now, don't forget about this on QuantumScape. There's a gap to fill at 84. And so, if you're a real big long-term swing trader, then that could be a target for you. I don't know how much it's going to go up, or if it's going to go up at all again ever. Maybe it comes back down and continues to the downside. But that's just my analysis for if it were to trend to the upside. Next, Fubo, get it. On Fubo, there was a lot of buying. We had a lot of buying up high. Obviously, that's why we had this huge downtrend. And then we had a lot of buying down here, but this buying is starting to hold. We got a weekly support here. All right, so now we got a higher low from this low, and we got this lower high from this high. So we're expecting this thing to be able to move a lot. Picking up shares of this one is definitely great around this area for me personally, not telling you that you need to do so. And if we do get a pullback into this zone one more time, I definitely want to look for a swing trade on this one. But with the correction that we had on this part, I think this is pretty much close to the bottom of the correction. If we were to come lower, I personally will want more shares of this and more of a position in this one as well, but a break to the upside. Remember, there's a lot of buyers here in these areas, and there's a lot of buyers up here. So Fubo TV, FUBO, I think will be a great one in the days to come or the weeks to come. Zoom. ZM, Zoom. I got this one like super charted up. Basically, my price projection for a swing trade is up here to 415. So with Zoom, obviously, if we see the market pull back a little bit, I would love to see that. I got this huge zone right here. This is a 50% to 618 pullback from way down here. Okay, so I measured that out. If you want to see me do it again, just to make sure that I ain't lying to you. Bam. There we go. Somewhat. So I'm off by whatever part I started with a little bit, but that's pretty much it. That's my 50%, to 618 retracement. I think I'm on a different time frame. That's why I was on the daily. This is the 4 hour or the 1 hour. So we zoom back in. There was a big gap from pretty much the 321 area all the way up to 431. And you can see that there was a time here where I was talking to my guys and I said, overnight, we filled that gap, and I don't know if that counts. I don't think that counts, so I'm gonna wait for it to come back. We had a huge uptrend and got into a play here, got stopped out, and then it went up that Friday and just blasted back up. Then we came back down again on the correction, and I'm like, okay, it's going to the gap finally. Well, it did. So I reminded my group of that, and now I'm not letting this one go. I want to see a little bit of a pullback, and then I want to see us break and continue in an uptrend to the upside on this one. So remember, the longer we're locked down and everybody's not at work and all this, Zoom is still going to be a play. I think they're doing some development on some different things and some new things to add to what they offer. And so that might be a good thing. But overall, I still like Zoom. I like the stock. And I believe that we can still see a little bit more correction back to that upside. So this is I feel like there's enough support here from this gap to this 50% in 618 to the end of this correction to where we can push up somewhat. And remember, on the ATR with Zoom, I mean, this thing is it's able to move per day, $15-20 or so. So that's no little move. That's enough moves to have you win one trade and be done for the rest of the week. SPCE Virgin Galactic, we had a nice hard bounce off the bottom area. This was a stop loss that I had set for an entry, and it just barely got to it. So it was really short of it, and it just went through both of the last targets. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of that. That was a really precise stop loss. I knew it was gonna be somewhat close if it dropped. So I'm gonna get rid of that. And then what I want to see on this one, since we crossed the 50 moving average, I would love to see, let's see. Yeah, I'd love to see a nice pullback on this one, maybe a 50% pullback or so, somewhere in that area. Even if it came all the way back down, if it touches these red lines, I would enter right here on these lines I have, because these are telling me that if we close below these lines, it's going to continue to go down. But if we close above them after, going to this area again, I'm going to expect a big move to the upside. Another one is SunPower. So you can see I have my weekly fibs, which means I was on my weekly chart. This was a pullback. This is my 50%. This is my 618. We pulled right back to the 50%, and now we're at the 382. What I want to see from SunPower is a little bit of a pullback as it broke this channel on this consolidation down to the upside. So I want to see basically a retest of this down channel. So if you want me to draw it just to give you a visual instead of just saying it, here you go. So bam, and then bam. Oh no, wait. Let's do this. This is going to work a lot better. There we go. Just because I can move it in a place where I would like it to be instead of missing some of the area. Okay. So you got this, and then you also have this here, which obviously that one makes more sense to me than just a huge channel, because now you have the resistance getting hit multiple times. So 1, and then 2, and then breakout, and it retested that trend line already. So it broke out of that wedge. So we got basically a bullish falling wedge. We had a bottom, then a higher high, or sorry, a high, then a low, then a higher high and a higher low. And then now we pushed up to this area. So we still haven't gotten above that last impulse down. Once we get above that impulse down, I'm definitely going to be looking long on this one. We got a gap fill here and here at 43.50 and 41.25 basically. And then we got another gap up here at 46 and or basically 46.50, and then down here around 43.75 or so. So I'm really liking SunPower for a nice swing trade. And obviously those energy stocks and solar stocks and all this stuff, I mean, they're all great, I believe, for 2021. So that's why I definitely have this one. I wouldn't mind, obviously getting shares of this one as well, or even selling some premium underneath in these areas, because this is where I would like to purchase shares if I could, but the price may not go back down to that area. And so I think we got a nice finished correction to the downside here, and I can definitely see us with more upside. So like I said, on this hourly, touching around this 50 SMA or so would be perfect for me, even if there's a little bit of drawdown on entry. I think that's it. That's everything on my watch list, guys. Just wanted to bring that to you and show you that for this week. That's what I'm looking at. Anything else that usually comes up throughout the week, I go ahead and, post it to my group or whatever, get in on some extra plays. But I love to play the indexes at least a couple times a week, and then get in on some entries, get some equity or shares basically, and then play some option as well. So that's what I'm looking at. You guys have a great week, and I hope you enjoyed. If this helped you in any way, please like and subscribe, and I will come with more every week. Have a good one.